Tunde Adebayo was the younger son of the ultra-wealthy Adebayo family in Abuja. His parents, Chief Charles Adebayo and Lady Rose Adebayo, had built their fortune over decades, amassing lands, buildings, and businesses, and were proud of their family's high status in Nigerian society. Yet, there was always one glaring issue: Tunde. Where his siblings, Sophia, Dara, Teo, and Imani, had all grown up to be respectable, successful, and well-behaved, Tunde was something of a royal screw-up. While Sophia, the eldest, was running her own charity foundation in London, Dara was a successful lawyer managing family businesses, Teo had made a name for himself as a sports mogul, and Imani was a blossoming influencer in the media world. Tunde lived for the night. Every evening, he drove around Abuja in his new black G-Wagon, flaunting luxury watches and designer clothes. His love for flashy things and attention had made him a fixture in the city's nightlife. He was a master at wearing people down with his charm and wit, drawing women like moths to a flame. 3, sometimes 6, women, each one more beautiful than the last, would accompany him to private lounges, nightclubs, and VIP areas, where he would drink, smoke, and live like there was no tomorrow. Tunde's parents were furious. Chief Charles would often pull him aside, urging him to stop the nonsense and act like his older siblings. Lady Rose would cry, lamenting the life he was throwing away, but Tunde couldn't care less. To him, life was about enjoying what you had while you had it. "We enjoy when we're alive because only the living is permitted to do so," he would say, brushing off their pleas. His siblings, too, tried to intervene, though none more than Sophia. She would often call Tunde, her voice laced with concern, "You're throwing away everything, Tunde. This isn't the life you want. You need to stop. Look at Dara, look at Teo. Why can't you be more like them?" But Tunde wasn't listening. His older brother, Dara, tried his best to be patient, but the disappointment in his eyes was unmistakable. Teo, with his carefully crafted public image as a successful sports entrepreneur, saw Tunde as a lost cause, but at least he could sympathize with his brother's need for fun. Imani, the youngest, was Tunde's confidant and ally. She would defend him in family meetings, often offering the excuse that he was just going through a phase. But deep down, she feared for him. No one understood Tunde's lifestyle, his need to be reckless, to break free from the weight of his family's legacy. They didn't get that he was searching for something beyond the luxuries that surrounded him. Tunde Adebayo, the rich son with a perfect life, was missing something. Or, maybe, someone. One night, after a particularly wild party at a club in Wus 2, Tunde was driving home, his mind still spinning from the loud music and endless drinks. He looked in the rearview mirror and caught a glimpse of a woman. She was standing alone by the side of the road, dressed in a red lace gown, her eyes distant but intense. Tunde couldn't resist. He slammed on the brakes and stepped out of the car, his shoes clicking against the pavement. "Hey, you need a ride?" he asked, a grin on his face. The woman, Amelia, smiled softly. "I've been waiting for you," she said, her voice as smooth as silk. Tunde raised an eyebrow, intrigued but not completely surprised. He was used to women throwing themselves at him, but something about Amelia felt different. As the night went on, Tunde couldn't get enough of Amelia. She didn't laugh at his jokes like the other women. She didn't drink or flirt for attention. She was calm, mysterious, and captivating. They spent the night talking, something Tunde rarely did, and before he knew it, he had lost track of time. By the time the first light of dawn crept through the curtains, he was already hooked. The woman who seemed almost too perfect, too otherworldly, had his attention completely. "Stay," Tunde said, when he noticed she was about to leave. "Just stay with me. You're not like the others." Amelia smiled softly, her eyes glowing in the dim morning light. "I told you, Tunde, I'm yours now. That night would change everything for Tunde. Tunde couldn't get Amelia out of his head. He tried to go back to his old habits, flirting with other women, attending parties, but it wasn't the same. No one compared to Amelia. Days turned into weeks, and soon, Tunde found himself spending every night with her. The drinking, smoking, and partying became less frequent as his life became centered around Amelia. She was the one thing he couldn't figure out. She wasn't just beautiful, she was different. Sophia, ever the concerned sister, began to notice the change in Tunde. "You're actually spending time at home now?" she asked, incredulity in her voice. "What happened to you, Tunde?" But it wasn't just his family that noticed. His friends and acquaintances began to gossip. "Tunde Adebayo, the playboy, has a woman who's actually got him locked down," one of his old friends teased, but there was no humor in his voice. For the first time in years, Tunde wasn't partying every night. Amelia had captured him completely. He was even thinking about something he never considered before, settling down. But there was something odd about Amelia. She had no past, no history, and she never mentioned her family. She was always present, always watching, but never fully engaging in the world around her. It wasn't until one fateful night that Tunde realized just how deeply he was tied to Amelia's world. After a lavish dinner at one of the best restaurants in Abuja, they headed back to his house in his newer sports car. Tunde was still caught up in the euphoria of the evening when, as they walked inside, something strange happened. Tunde felt a sudden chill in the air. The warmth of his luxurious home seemed to disappear. The lights flickered for a moment, casting eerie shadows across the walls. He turned to Amelia, his brow furrowed. She was standing still, staring at the doorway as if she could see something he couldn't. "Are you all right?" he asked, stepping closer to her. Amelia turned to him, her face pale. "I'm not sure if I should stay. My time here is almost over." Tunde's heart raced. The woman he had come to adore was now speaking in riddles, as if she wasn't fully present in this world. Before he could say anything, she collapsed in his arms, her body limp. Panic surged through him, and he quickly tried to revive her. But when he looked into her eyes, he saw nothing but emptiness. There was no life, no soul in her gaze. Just a cold void. The next moment, everything went black. When Tunde awoke, he found himself lying next to Amelia, but she was still unconscious. Her breathing was slow and steady, as if she had been in some deep slumber. As he looked around, everything felt different, too still, too quiet. As the hours passed, Amelia slowly regained consciousness. She sat up, her eyes soft but distant. "Tunde," she whispered. "I'm sorry. You don't know who I am, do you?" "What are you talking about? You've been by my side this whole time. What happened?" Amelia closed her eyes. "I haven't told you everything, Tunde. I am not what you think I am. I am not fully here." Tunde stared at her, confusion and dread creeping into his chest. "What do you mean? You're real. You're here." "I'm a ghost, Tunde. I died years ago. My mission on Earth was not yet complete, but I couldn't move on. I stayed, waiting for someone to help me finish it. And you called me," she said, her voice trembling. The room grew colder as her words sunk in, and for the first time, Tunde felt a deep sense of fear, a fear of losing her, of losing the one person who had brought meaning into his reckless life. But Tunde didn't believe, he thought maybe she's trying to scare him away. Weeks passed, and Tunde tried to come to terms with Amelia's revelation. He didn't know what to believe, but he couldn't deny the connection he felt. Amelia was always by his side, comforting him, guiding him. The more he spent time with her, the more he found himself changing. His love for her was undeniable, and he found himself distancing from the nightlife that once consumed him. Then, the unthinkable happened. Amelia told him she was pregnant. "I don't know how it happened," she said, her voice soft, yet serious. "But I'm carrying your child, Tunde." Tunde froze, unsure of what to say. His mind raced. "You're pregnant? But how? You said you're a ghost," she finished his sentence. "Yes, but I still have the power to create life. Our child is real, Tunde." The news sent shockwaves through the Adebayo family. Chief Charles nearly fainted when he heard the news. "A prostitute? My son wants to marry a prostitute," he thundered, his voice filled with disbelief. Tunde stood his ground. "She's not just any woman. She's my wife. And she's carrying my child. I love her." Sophia, Dara, Teo, and Imani all gathered in the family's living room, trying to reason with him. "This isn't normal, Tunde," Dara said, trying to keep his voice calm. "You don't know what you're getting yourself into. A prostitute? Are you out of your mind?" But Tunde couldn't be swayed. Amelia had become the center of his world, and nothing would change that. She was kind, loving, and had transformed his life in ways he never thought possible. Even more strangely, his parents had come to accept her into their family, albeit reluctantly. They saw how much she had changed their son and how much he had matured. Amelia was a perfect wife. She cooked, cleaned, and took care of the house. She was a doting mother when their child was born, and Tunde, despite his past, became a dedicated husband and father. Tunde's world was now filled with joy and purpose. He had become a family man, focused on raising his children with Amelia. They had 3 children, each one more beautiful than the last, and each one extraordinarily intelligent. Their firstborn, Gideon, spoke fluent Yoruba by the time he was just 2 years old, and Tunde couldn't help but marvel at how their children seemed to possess a wisdom beyond their years. There was no sickness, no problems, just pure happiness and laughter in their home. Amelia and Tunde's life, once filled with chaos and uncertainty, was now filled with love and peace. Tunde knew that no matter what, Amelia was the woman he was meant to be with. And yet, there was always that nagging question at the back of his mind: what had truly happened to her? And what if her mission wasn't truly over? Unknowing to Tunde, someone else's life was about to change because of Amelia. Kenneth, a local Uber driver in Abuja, had once given Amelia a ride after a night out. He was just another driver doing his job, expecting nothing out of the ordinary. However, that ride turned out to be his turning point. Amelia, though silent throughout the ride, had a presence that captivated Kenneth. He dropped her off at Tunde's mansion, not knowing who she was or her connection to the family. A week later, Kenneth's life took a remarkable turn. He had been struggling to make ends meet, but suddenly, his business boomed. Clients who had ignored him started requesting rides, and one particularly influential client gifted him a brand new luxury car, a top-of-the-line Toyota Land Cruiser. Confused but grateful, Kenneth couldn't help but remember the ride with Amelia. It felt like an unexplainable blessing had been bestowed upon him. And even though he didn't fully understand the connection, he knew it was linked to her. As he drove his new car around the city, Kenneth was filled with a sense of wonder. His life, once filled with financial stress and struggle, had taken a sharp turn for the better. He couldn't shake the feeling that something more was at play, a supernatural force beyond the ordinary. Or maybe was it God's blessings? Tunde's life continued in a dreamlike haze. He no longer cared for the party scenes, the expensive cars, or the shallow company of women. Amelia had become his anchor, and he was becoming a better man for it. But as much as he embraced the change, there were signs that something was amiss. The more Tunde lived with Amelia, the more peculiar things seemed to happen around their home. He would wake up in the middle of the night to find Amelia standing by the window, staring out into the dark. She would speak cryptically about things he didn't understand, but Tunde dismissed it as her being deep in thought. Then there were the mirrors. They had a tendency to crack or distort when Amelia was near. At first, Tunde thought it was a coincidence, but as it continued happening, he became more uneasy. Even the children, though brilliant, would sometimes stare off into the distance as if they were hearing something Tunde couldn't hear. One night, after the children had gone to bed, Tunde and Amelia stood in front of the full-length mirror in the hallway. As Tunde gazed at them both, he noticed something unsettling. Amelia's reflection seemed to waver, as if she wasn't entirely in the mirror's frame. "Tunde," Amelia whispered, her voice trembling, "I'm not what you think I am." Before Tunde could respond, the reflection of Amelia in the mirror disappeared completely, leaving only Tunde staring back at himself. A cold shiver ran down his spine. He turned quickly to face Amelia, but she was still there, standing beside him, her face pale and expressionless. "I'm not fully here," she said again. "I'm tethered to this world, but not by the same rules as you." "What do you mean?" "Stop saying all these things, please," Tunde replied. Tunde was speechless. What did this mean? What was Amelia trying to tell him? Tunde's fears deepened when he began hearing strange rumors from his uncle in Benin City. Uncle Ifani, an older man with deep ties to traditional African beliefs, had heard stories about a girl named Chinelo Nwosu who had vanished from a small village in Enugu years ago. According to the village elders, Chinelo had died during childbirth but had a mysterious connection to the spirit world. Her mission on earth was not over, and she couldn't move on to the afterlife. The more Tunde listened, the more he realized that the woman he loved, Amelia, might not be who she claimed to be. The possibility that she was the same spirit as Chinelo weighed heavily on him. His mind raced with questions. If Amelia was truly a ghost, how had she become so real to him? How was she able to have children? And why had she stayed? One evening, while shopping at Joby Lake Mall with Amelia, Tunde's world was turned upside down. They had just finished picking up groceries when an elderly woman approached them. The woman's eyes widened as she looked directly at Amelia. "Chinelo," she screamed, her voice full of disbelief. "Is it really you?" Amelia froze. Tunde saw her body stiffen, her eyes darting around as if searching for a way to escape. Before Tunde could react, Amelia's form flickered, her body seeming to vanish before his eyes. The woman standing in front of him gasped in shock, but the only thing Tunde could do was stare in horror. I don't understand," Tunde muttered, his mind spinning. The world around him seemed to collapse as the woman's words rang in his ears. "Chinelo, you were dead. You should have been at peace by now," the woman said, trembling with fear. Tunde's mind was reeling. He didn't know what to believe anymore. Amelia had disappeared, but he knew she hadn't truly left him. In the days that followed, he searched high and low for answers, hoping to uncover the truth about the woman he had married and the life they had shared. Tunde returned to Enugu, the place where the mysterious woman, Chinelo Nwosu, was supposedly buried. The town was small, hidden away from the bustling cities, but Tunde knew this was where he had to go. As he entered the village, an eerie feeling washed over him. The elders spoke in hushed tones, sharing tales of a beautiful young woman who had died too soon. They showed Tunde the grave of Chinelo Nwosu, the very woman he had married. A chill ran through his body as the reality began to sink in. Amelia was Chinelo, and she had never truly been alive. The graveyard was silent, the only sound being the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. Tunde stood frozen in front of the grave, staring at the name carved into the stone, Chinelo Nwosu, died 15 years ago. His heart pounded in his chest as the reality of what he had just discovered began to settle over him. He looked at the villagers surrounding him, their faces filled with sympathy but also a sense of knowing. One of the older men spoke up, his voice gentle but firm. She wasn't just any girl, Tunde. She was chosen to stay, to finish something she couldn't leave behind. Her soul was trapped here, and you, the elder paused, looking at Tunde with wise eyes, you were the one who called her. Tunde's mind raced. How could he have known? How could he have been the one to call her? The idea that he had been drawn to her, unknowingly, made him feel both connected and terrified. We tried to warn her, the elder continued. She wasn't meant to find peace until her mission was done, but she found love in the mortal world, and that love gave her the strength to stay. But now, the time has come for her to leave. Tunde fell to his knees, his fingers brushing the cool stone of Chinelo's grave. I don't want her to leave, he whispered. I don't want to lose her. The elder placed a hand on Tunde's shoulder. Sometimes, the ones we love are meant to leave us so that we can grow. She was given the chance to show you love, to give you the life you needed. But now, Tunde, it's time to let go. That night, as Tunde lay in bed, he couldn't sleep. His mind was a whirlwind of confusion, sadness, and disbelief. How could he say goodbye to someone who had become everything to him? He had loved Amelia, had loved Chinelo, but she was gone. Was this some twisted fate? In his sleep, he was visited by her again. This time, her form wasn't solid, it was translucent, like a soft mist. Her face was peaceful, but her eyes held sorrow. Tunde, she whispered, her voice soft but clear. I never wanted to leave you, but my time is over. The children, they will carry on, and you must protect them. Tunde sat up, his heart aching. No. I can't lose you. I don't care if you're a ghost, you're my wife. You're my love. Amelia reached out, her hand hovering just above his. I will always be with you, in your heart. You gave me life when I had none. Now, you must live for us both. With those words, she faded into the air, leaving Tunde alone in his room, the echo of her presence lingering like a gentle breeze. In the days that followed, Tunde was a changed man. He could no longer live the life he once had. The parties, the wild nights, the women, all of it seemed meaningless now. He turned his attention to raising his children, ensuring they were given everything they needed to grow into strong, capable individuals. Amelia, Chinelo, had given him the greatest gift of all, love, redemption, and a second chance. Tunde devoted himself entirely to his family, his love for them burning brighter than any material wealth or worldly pleasure. His parents couldn't believe it, they were shocked, also sad, because they had all come to love her. Imani was sad, she was so emotional that she cried for weeks. So Amelia was really a ghost all this while, she muttered. Tunde's siblings, once concerned about his reckless lifestyle, began to see the change in him. Sophia, Dara, Teo, and Imani all noticed the shift. Tunde no longer cared about impressing people or showing off his wealth. He was more humble, focused, and genuinely happy. They gathered at the Adebayo's family home, where Tunde had invited them to share his new life with them. As they sat together, Tunde looked at each of them, his heart full of gratitude. He knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in his life, he felt at peace. I'm sorry, Tunde, Sophia said, her voice soft. We were hard on you, but we didn't understand. I see now that you've changed. We are proud of you. Dara nodded. You've done well, little brother. We've always known you had it in you. Even Teo, who had once dismissed Tunde's behavior, gave him a smile. You're finally growing up, Tunde. Imani, who had always been Tunde's ally, simply hugged him. I knew you could do it, she whispered. One evening, while Tunde and his children were at home, there was a sudden power outage. The house went dark, and for a moment, everything was still. Tan heard the soft cry of one of his children, Gideon. He rushed to his side, only to find the child missing. Panic rose in Tan's chest as he searched the house frantically. Then, through the dark, he heard a soft voice. It was Amelia's. "Tan, my time is almost over. Protect them," she whispered. Before he could respond, the house filled with a strange light, and Gideon appeared again, unharmed. Tan knew that something dark was coming for his children. A spiritualist had warned him that forces were out to take them away. He fought to protect his family, facing the dark spirits that seemed to haunt his home. Night after night, Tan prayed, meditated, and kept watch over his children, not allowing the shadows to claim them. The battle was long and grueling, but Tan's love for his family fueled his resolve. As Tan's battle against the dark spirits intensified, he turned to the village elders for guidance. They told him that the spirits haunting his children were not mere shadows, but ancient forces connected to Chinelo's past. Her death had left a mark on the spiritual world, and the spirits of her ancestors were angry that she had remained in the mortal realm too long. Desperate for help, Tan sought out a powerful spiritual healer known as Auntie Ngozi, who had helped many families in the village. Auntie Ngozi, an elderly woman with deep ties to the ancestral spirits, met Tan in a quiet, secluded place at the edge of the village. She was known for her wisdom and her ability to connect with the spiritual world. "I can help you, Tan," Auntie Ngozi said, her voice calm but filled with authority. "But you must understand this, Amelia is no longer just a woman. She is a bridge between the worlds. To protect your children, you must understand the ancient forces that hold her here. You must call upon her ancestors and seek their blessing." Tan listened intently as Auntie Ngozi guided him through a powerful ritual. They performed prayers, offered sacrifices, and chanted the names of the ancestors. The air grew thick with energy, and for a brief moment, Tan felt a presence around him, like Chinelo's ancestors were standing with him, offering their protection. By the end of the ritual, Auntie Ngozi placed her hands on Tan's shoulders and whispered, "Your family is safe now. The ancestors have granted you their blessing. But remember, the spirits of the past will always be with you. Honor them, and you will have the strength to protect your children." Tan's life began to settle into a new rhythm, one filled with purpose and peace. But as time passed, a piece of the puzzle still remained unsolved. The mystery of Amelia's past lingered in his mind, refusing to be forgotten. One evening, while going through old family documents in the attic, Tan stumbled upon a dusty file hidden in a wooden chest. The file was labeled Adebayo Family, Deceased, and inside, he found old papers, photographs, and letters that told a story he had never known. Among the documents was a photo of a young woman who looked eerily familiar. She was standing beside a grave, her face solemn, but her eyes held a secret. The name on the photo was Chinelo Nwosu. Tan's breath caught in his throat as he looked closer. This was the same woman, Amelia. But the file said she had died years ago. How could this be? Was Amelia truly the same person, or had she somehow been trapped between worlds for all these years? The answers remained just out of reach, but Tan now had more questions than ever before. Could Amelia's spirit have been wandering the earth for all this time, waiting for him? One fateful night, after the children had gone to bed, Tan was once again visited by Amelia. This time, she appeared in full form, glowing with an ethereal light. Tan stood frozen, unable to move or speak. "Tan," she said softly, her voice filled with a tenderness that cut through his heart. "It's time for me to leave." Tan's heart shattered. "No. Please don't go. You can't leave me." "I have to, Tan," she replied, her eyes filled with sadness. "I've given you all I can. Now, you must carry on without me. But know this, I will always be with you. In your heart, in your children, in everything you do. Tunde reached out to her, but before he could touch her, she faded into the light, leaving him standing alone in the room. For a long moment, he stood there, staring at the spot where she had just been. His heart ached with a deep, aching emptiness, but he knew in his soul that she was gone for good. As the years passed, Tunde continued to raise his children with the same love and devotion that Amelia, Chinelo, had shown him. Though she was no longer physically with him, her spirit lived on in their home, in their hearts, and in the way Tunde chose to live his life. The children grew up to be remarkable individuals. Gideon, the eldest, became a renowned doctor, healing the sick and bringing hope to the poor. Chinelo, named after his mother, became a lawyer, fighting for justice in both the spiritual and physical worlds. Bernice, the youngest, grew to be an influential politician, leading with the same compassion that his mother had shown. Tunde went to her grave again once more, but this time, there's no sadness in his heart. Only gratitude. I will always love you, he whispers to the wind. Thank you for giving me life when I had none. The wind stirs, and a soft, glowing light surrounds the grave. For a brief moment, Tunde could hear her voice, whispering, I'm proud of you. Did Tunde make the right choice? Was his love for Amelia truly enough to defy death itself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Did you believe in the supernatural connection, or was there something deeper at play? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heart-stopping stories of love, mystery, and the unknown. Stay tuned for our next adventure.